My name is Laura Palmer. I do cocaine. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's the King for Mayor. So it looks like I'm doing videos again. So I've been wanting to do this series for a while. These are meant to be short videos, but since this is the first one, we got a little bit of introduction to try to explain what the video series is about. So I've been watching Twin Peaks again for like the a millionth time because I'm a Twin Peaks chunky. What do you call that? A tweaksy? A peaksy? A tweaker? A peaker? I don't know. Why don't you say what you think Twin Peaks fan is called in the comments below? So anyway, so I listen to a lot of these Twin Peaks podcasts. We have, you know, the Twin Peaks Unwrapped, Wrapped in Plastic, Take the Ring. There's a whole bunch of them. I listen to almost all of them because I'm a Twin Peaks nerd. Did I mention that yet? And if you're watching this video, I hope you are too. Because there will be spoilers and talking about stuff in the show Twin Peaks, which could be a trigger warning. So if you haven't seen the show, you should go watch the show. Anyway, I listen to everybody talk about Twin Peaks on these podcasts, and there are things I notice that don't get mentioned. And so part of the idea of this series is to look at those things. So there will be a lot of things that I leave out. These are things that I feel have already been discussed in perpetuity, to the point where I don't need to bring them up. If you're a Twin Peaks fan and you listen to all these other podcasts and people's theories about Twin Peaks, yada yada yada. And this isn't a theories video series. This is a character analysis. So we're going to be looking at the characters in the show Twin Peaks, each individually. And the first one we're going to look at, of course, is Laura Palmer. And because she's kind of the catalyst, if you will, for the entire thing. Without Laura Palmer, there is no Twin Peaks, which is what we saw in the end of The Return, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we're looking at character. What is a character? Well, a character is a fictional person, right? We have a fictional character, but we also say that people in real life have character, right? So you might have a guy who walks down the street and he gets the cat out of the tree and helps the old lady across the street and goes and adopts a dog from the dog pound. We say, oh, that person has good character. Meanwhile, another guy walks down the street and he kicks the dog, pushes down the old lady, takes her purse, and runs over the cat with his car. We say, well, he's a bad person. He's got bad character, right? So character is also how we perceive people, right? It's a perception of a person. It's not the person themselves. We don't know what led up to the events of, the guy helping the old lady or running over the cat or whatever. We don't know. But we have a perception of that person as being a good or a bad, having good or bad character, right? So Laura Palmer is a character. In fact, at the beginning of the show, in the pilot, she's already dead, right? So she is, in essence, double fictional, right? One, she's a fictional person in the show Twin Peaks, but also she's not there to represent herself, right? We're only getting second-hand knowledge about who Laura Palmer is. And as it progresses, we find that information is very contradictory. So, the beginning, they find Laura Palmer. she's dead, and they're like, oh no, not Laura Palmer. Why Laura Palmer? It could have been anybody other than Laura Palmer. I mean, it could have been some drifter, or my daughter Donna, or God take me, but don't let it be Laura Palmer, um, because she had a perception of character in the community, right? She's literally a picture. I can only use one hand because the other hand's holding the pole for the camera here. She's literally a picture in a trophy case, right? She's presented as an image, as a trophy, as, whatever kind of, she's presented very two-dimensionally, literally two-dimensionally, as a picture of a person and not a person herself, right? So you have this perception that the town has of her, and she was the high school sweetheart, she was the prom queen, she helped with Meals on Wheels, right? She did all of these good things. She did nothing but good deeds, right? She was Laura Palmer, America's sweetheart. That's one character, right? And then we have Cooper, which I'm going to try not to talk about him too much because he's going to have his own video. Agent Cooper comes in representing the FBI, right? And the FBI is only concerned with one thing: law and order. So he looks at Laura Palmer, right? And first thing he does is gets her diary, right? And the sheriff, Harry, is like, oh, we haven't been able to find the key to open it. And he just cracks it open like it's like a cold beer, right? And he looks at the first page, and he looks at the last page, skips a hole in between, and he has a little bag with the key in it and the white powder. And he goes, this is the key right here. It's cocaine, baby. Right? Because, see, now the FBI, they're looking at it as a crime, right? So they're looking into the crime aspect. Like, so the way the FBI is painting this picture of Laura is not the sweetheart that everybody knows and loves, but as a criminal, right? She was a cocaine user, possibly a dealer. She was involved in prostitution, all this stuff, right? So they're painting this picture of Laura Palmer as being this, bad character, right? So we already have two perceptions of this character: this good character and this bad character. And then we start following the friends along. And they all loved Laura Palmer, and they knew her better than anybody, but they didn't really know her. And that's what we get from the friends, the other high school kids. They're like, no, she isn't these things. She isn't she wasn't her jobs. She wasn't the thing she did. She wasn't the series of events. She was a complicated person. She did good things and she did bad things. And we loved her, but we didn't understand her. And that's the mystery that they're trying to unravel, while Cooper's trying to figure out what happened. They're trying to figure out why did it happen, which is why a lot of the story focuses on these teenagers. And so what I'm getting at is, then we get to the Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me movie, which is what this is really about, because that's the first time we actually get to see Laura as a living, breathing person instead of just a collection of stories that other people are telling about her, right? So we have these different versions of Laura. We have the good girl, the criminal, and the crazy, confused Laura. So she's a multi-dimensional character, and as you know, in Lynchland, there's a lot of meta, which is when the art reflects life, so on and so forth. So she's literally a multiple dimensional character, which is why she's able to, again, spoilers, this is not really about so much the magic of Twin Peaks, this is about the person, but she's able to travel between these worlds before anybody else because she is a multi-dimensional character. All right, whereas everybody else is kind of more focused in their character. They're more anchored, if you will. But finally, we get Laura Palmer's story, and then we in Fire Walk with Me, and we get to see the world through Laura's eyes, right? Or at least follow, maybe more like Donna's eyes, because we're following along with them. But we get to see the actual Laura Palmer, and we don't just hear these stories. We actually get to see the fire behind her eyes, right? We get to see her intensity and experience it for ourselves. And this is kind of making this character flesh and blood in this story, Fire Walk with Me. And now we get to, again, something that may be a trigger for some of you. I got to talk about her relationship with her father. Okay, so Leland Palmer, we find out through the show and confirm it in Fire Walk with Me that he is drugging his wife and his daughter and abusing his daughter sexually, right? And we don't know this for certain, but using the clues, the fact that there's a white horse that appears, we can assume that he's probably using heroin. Is probably the drug he's using to control and manipulate his family. And so gets me to, I'm Laura Palmer and I do cocaine, right? That's the title of this video. Why does Laura Palmer do cocaine? Well, it's just like Dr. Jacoby says. She's self-medicating, right? She is trying to counteract something that's wrong with her chemically inside. And with a lot of people, when they self-medicate with drugs, it's because they have some sort of imbalance in their system. I mean, a normal chemical hormonal imbalance in their system that they're trying to counteract with drugs. Well, she was actually being drugged. That's what she's counteracting. So she's being given essentially heroin, we're assuming at dinner, by her father, right? And she starts doing cocaine to keep herself awake, to keep herself aware through these experiences. And in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, you'll see that, yes, she sees Bob come out of the house during the daytime, but that last time that Bob takes her in her room, she does cocaine right before he comes in because she's getting hit with the heroin. She's having the effects of the heroin. They're taking over her. She takes the cocaine, brings her back up out of it, right? And then she's able to see for the first time with her own eyes that Bob is actually her father, right? That's really, it's not that Laura Palmer was a cocaine user or a prostitute or any of these things the way that the FBI tries to paint her. She's doing all of this as a way to escape the abuse that she's having from her father, right? She's going into prostitution because it's an easy way to make money, right? She's going into cocaine because it's an easy way to make money so she can escape the life she has at home. And part of the thing she does with the good deeds and stuff, this is also because of her father. He has probably conditioned her to always have this proper outward appearance, just like Leland does. And I don't want to get into his character, he'll be another video, but similarly, he's got that evil inside of him, but he puts out this outward character to the community to hide the true character. I think likewise he was having Laura put out this image of being a good girl to hide the abuse. Just like she was doing the drugs and the prostitution as a way to escape that, but she was also just not only selling the drugs for money, she was actually doing them. And as Biggie Smalls taught us, don't get high on your own supply, right? But she was, because she saw it as a way to counteract the drugging that's been going on by her father Leland, who was abusing her. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention that. And I think it's important to look at that, to not look at Laura as this wild phoenix flame, burning star, all of that. That was just another kind of theatrics that she was putting on top of what was really is she was a person dealing with repetitive, constant, unescapable abuse and doing the best that she could. And perhaps, again, when we talk about character, another thing that people, I'm told, never experienced it myself, but something that people who are abused do supposedly is they create these fantasy worlds in which they can escape into, which is probably what allowed her to enter the Black Lodge, if you will. And eventually I would say the White Lodge, but that's getting more into theory, and this is just on characters. So, cocaine, perhaps it is the key. Maybe Cooper was right. Or maybe it's just another clue in the greater mystery that is Laura Palmer. Now, if you think I am wrong about something or I missed something important, please go ahead and say so in the comments below, and I won't necessarily add the responses in any other videos, but I will respond to your comments. I'm pretty good about that most of the time. If you are interested in hearing about the rest of the series and the other characters of Twin Peaks, feel free to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit the notifications buzzer if you want to know when those videos come out. I'm going to try to do one a week. I've already got them planned for about 4 or 5 other characters, and it's going to be this format, just kind of spitballing off the top of my head. I'm not going to put in videos of Twin Peaks at this time because I just want to get them out there. I don't want to deal with all that editing and all that. Maybe I'll do that at a later date, but hopefully this got you thinking about something you haven't before. And yeah, so this is it. This is the end of the video. You can stop watching now. All right.